I think it's funny when you add a little bit of money to a sport and you give some girls attention, what they can do with it. I think everyone should take a page out of our book and really put some more time and effort into women's everything.
Welcome to Breaking the Glass Hockey Podcast. We're talking women's hockey from the PWHL to the NCAA. We'll be talking with players, builders, coaches, and fans who have made this great game what it is today. It's time to educate, empower, and elevate. Let's go!
We did it. Technical difficulties, just like we always have. All right, here we are at Breaking the Glass Hockey Podcast. I think we're episode 37 is where we're at. So we're creeping up there on the big 5-0. Today we have with us Katie Lachapelle. Very happy to have her with us here today, the head coach of the Holy Cross Crusaders, 4-year player from Providence College Friars, a member of the Auburn-Lewiston Sports Hall of Fame. She is 2013 Women's Ice Hockey Assistant Coach of the Year for the AHCA. See you down in Florida this year, I think, Lash. I will. Yes. And the reigning New England Hockey and Hockey East Coach of the Year award winner. Very deservedly. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
How's the off season going?
So far, so good. Trying to get everybody out of the office a little bit here and people take time for themselves. But had a couple weeks, and then one was right at the end of vacation week for the kids, and then got back at it lifting, and we're on the ice a couple times a week right now, just doing some skill work and I think more so having fun, trying to have keep having fun and staying in shape and getting better where we feel like we need to. So it's been great.
What is your hockey? Is your hockey rink private, or do they rent it out or anything? Like, what do you guys have going on there, and do you keep it all summer?
We don't keep it all summer. We don't have the type of floor that we can keep it in, so it'll stay in pretty much to that last week of school. But we've got some like high school teams and some youth like club teams that play out of here at night, but pretty much from 6 a.m. until about 8 p.m. It's basically our ice with the men. And we actually in the mornings it's pretty much open from like 6 a.m. to, let's call it like noon, and then there's like an open skate where you see some professors out there, and then it's back open for the hockey teams. But we actually, Bill Riga with the men's staff and his coaches, we just kind of share the ice all morning. So it's not like the men have these hours on this day because of class schedule. So it actually, we got a great collaboration with them. And it's like, if one of our kids jumps out, they'll take half. If one of their guys jumps out, we'll go just on the half. So it works out pretty well where we can pretty much, kids can pretty much go on any time of day, both teams. They get along great. And so it's kind of neat to see it that way, because we've never really done it like any place I've been. Like, it's kind of like you have this time and you have that time. So to be out there and still drills from each other and get to know their players a little bit better too is nice, because you see them all the time in the rink. So it's been a nice kind of compromise on class schedules.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If you need any extra pylons, I'm right up 290. I can come down and hop on and help you guys out.
That's not usually he's usually bragging. So
this is but this is someone I don't know that well, so I have to keep it professional.
Well, we'll get you out here.
Yeah. So speaking of getting to know you, just for our listeners, I feel like I know you very well. And when Brownie wrote up your sheet, as he always does for all of our episodes, I was like, I knew that. But for our listeners, just talk a little bit about your playing career at Providence and your experience there, and sort of what led you into, coaching from there.
Yeah. Loved my time at Providence. I actually played field hockey and hockey there. Back, I feel like when you could, had, the seasons didn't overlap as much as they do now. So that was great. But really for me, like going to Providence, Jackie Bardo, the legendary Jackie Bardo, I just loved her and wanted to play for her. And she was coaching both sports at the time. So it was even better that I was with her for 2. And I actually ended up at some point in my career, ended up at Ohio State coaching with her and Catherine Hansen, who was a year older than me at Providence, one of my really close friends. So really, I think the biggest thing, going there was I think that ability to play for Jackie and I loved it. Like I said, I love my experience there. I grew up in Maine, so it wasn't too far from home. I probably wasn't going too far, much further than that anyways. I like being a homebody and my parents being able to come watch, and my sister, and so that was a great experience there. And both my parents were high school coaches. At some point in their careers, they both became principals at some point. So they had to kind of give up the coaching. But when I was growing up and I was a little kid, I was running around in the ice rink where my dad was coaching hockey and football at Lewiston High School. And my mom was coaching at Edward Little. She coached field hockey. And my mom also coached as assistant a little bit at Bates College. Sorry, my light.
That's right. We have that all the time.
Someone else that happened with. That happened with someone else.
Chelsea.
You get about 10 minutes and that's it.
Yeah.
But it was pretty neat to have parents that coach, and I didn't really know anything else. And then obviously my time with Jackie really just made kind of confirm my thoughts that I wanted to get into coaching. And I think when your parents are educators and coaches, it's kind of like, okay, that's what I know. And so that's coaching is educating. And so I don't really know that there's much else I would have done. My dad, all growing up, we had hockey camps in Biddeford, Maine. We had Down East hockey camps. It used to be called Pro Youth, and then they changed it to Down East. And they'd get all the Bruins there. You'd get Terry O'Reilly would come in, and Stan Jonathan, and it just really, really cool group. I thought that was normal when I was a little kid, that you just got to hang out with the Bruins in the summer at hockey camp, and I find out it's not normal. But just even from, being 13, 14, 15 years old, I was in the younger group. Then I moved to the older group as a player. And then while I was in the older group as a player, I was on the ice coaching the younger groups during the week.
That's amazing.
So really just, my sister and my mom were on the beach because we were in Old Orchard Beach. But my dad and I were at the rink, and I didn't seem to mind that either. So
yeah. What's crazy? I never really didn't realize it through all of this is that Providence was heavy on my list too, because of the multi-sport aspect. Yep. And John Marchetti and Jackie overlapped between field hockey, and softball, and kind of flipped their head coaching duties. And all 3 of those sports were sort of on my radar. I think they wanted me to play field hockey and softball. And I was like, what about hockey? I mean, hockey was not my strongest sport, but, we wouldn't have overlapped. I would have just missed you, but it would have been, and it's crazy because I was like, what about hockey? Yeah. And they were like, well, what about these softball? So I'm surprised they didn't get you to play softball, because it was just like a package deal with them. Yeah. Jackie coached, so Brownie, Jackie coached, head coach field hockey, assistant coach of hockey. John was head coach of hockey. John might have been head coach of softball too, I think. There was
at one point, Jackie was too at one point. I don't remember when. But Jackie played all 3 at Providence, which that's crazy that how you play all 3 sports, but she played all 3 at Providence. I'm gonna bet she played for John. My guess is she probably played for John at that time, or at least 1 or 2 of the sports, obviously hockey for sure. But I'm wondering if he was coaching her for those other ones too. But legends, Hall of Famers, legends over there.
you talk about how kids can't do that anymore because of the seasons, but I this hasn't crossed my mind until you guys just were talking about it. Coaches used to coach multiple sports, and you don't even do that in high school. Well, maybe you could do fall and spring because the winter kind of bleeds on both ends.
Yeah.
But
hockey's definitely a tougher sport. Hockey and basketball, obviously, and even I don't know, D3, I don't think coaching. I wouldn't know, but I don't think there's a lot of coaches out there that overlap in D3. But D3 certainly provides that opportunity to play multi-sport more.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm wondering, like Lynn, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like when we were in college, we couldn't play till like October 1st or 15th or something like that. Maybe even 15th, that you weren't even playing till. So even if you make playoffs for field hockey in the Big East, and then you still, I don't remember ever missing, like, I missed the start of hockey practice, but I don't remember missing games.
My field hockey. So I only field hockey 4th and 5th year.
Yep.
Because Northeastern was the other way around. They were like, yeah, you can come play hockey, but field hockey, it's going to be too much.
Right.
Like, field hockey is a national contending program. How are you going to do that? It was weird because, then you got like Dottie Catlin up at UNH playing all 3 sports like crazy. So, I didn't play field hockey at first. And then later on, it just served me to play from the perspective of where the hockey program was. There was no scholarships, but but we went deep in field hockey in my senior season. And that did hurt me. I lost like a month of hockey. So it's a trade-off, right? You're at the NCAAs for field hockey. So, awesome. That's so great.
Hold on. I might as well show her this now, Linda.
Oh, let's do it. We found some good stuff.
Oh, look at that. Eyes are up. Good knee bend.
Yeah. I mean,
got the puck.
You got the laces tucked in. Good style. I mean,
nice wood stick there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice and long.
We'll leave it up long enough so your players can screenshot this if they ever
I'm sure they've already found it. I'm sure.
That's amazing.
I wanted to ask, though, when you were at Providence playing, it said you played forward and D.
Yeah.
Was that like a necessity? Was that a short bench or some injuries?
My first 2 years, I think we just had like maybe 5D or 4D. And I had played a little bit of both in growing up, but in high school, I played on my boys' high school team, strictly a forward.
State champs, not a big deal. Saw that in the research.
Champs, 1995, Maine state champs. So Jackie, just like you're going to play D these 2 years. And I remember my freshman year, we were in what would have been the longest game in history, but it wasn't an NCAA recognized. It was 5 overtimes at UNH on that giant rink. Mm-hmm. And we had 4D, Catherine Hansen, Karen McCabe, Alana Blahowski, and myself. And you're like playing 5. We may have had one more, but essentially it was just kind of the 4 of us. We're going every other shift for 5 overtimes. We lost. I believe Brandy Fisher scored.
Fisher scored. Yeah. Patty Cad's winner.
That's right. Year. And I remember in one of the overtimes, Catherine Hansen, seriously, like one of my like a sister to me, but had a hot head, lots of penalties. And I remember she like slammed the glass, got a penalty, slammed the glass, and they gave her a 5-minute. And we were like, and then I'm like, well, that might have been smart. She just wanted a break.
I remember that. I feel like what happened, and could be just throwing some like spice on. I was at that game, and I feel like I remember that it was a snowstorm, and we needed to go back to Boston, and we had to leave the game. Like, it was going into overtime. We were like, we're not going to get back. Like, we need to leave. And we were like, who knows what we were following it on? I mean, I don't know what we were doing with phones then. Who knows? Right. But that's amazing. Such a historic.
Friends that came down from Lewiston, like some of my best friends and high school teammates, and like they're like, I think my parents had like maybe a cell phone in their car, but they came separate. But their parents were like freaking out because they didn't call them, and my mom's like, go to a payphone and like something like call them because you've now been here for like 7 hours.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It was very
long time ago.
And for your players, the payphone was a thing that was in a lobby that you put money in and you could use the phone.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Who even has coins now? I don't even
Right,
know.
right.
No.
Imagine a payphone with the tap, like the Apple Pay.
That
Um,
happened.
That's smart.
that might happen actually. Hey, maybe I can get into
down.
that. Okay, so coaching career starts at Union.
Yep. Yep.
Assistant to Fred Quisgart. And then a couple years there, and then you head over to Niagara with Margot.
Yes.
Talk about that time for you guys. I know you had 0102 Frozen 4.
Mm-hmm.
I want to throw Brownie the fun fact that he may not know, which is that team had Allison Coomey on it as a senior.
She was a
So
senior captain.
She was a senior
Oh, that's
captain
cool.
Yeah.
for Katie, and they later, obviously coached together at BU.
Another purple team. They were Purple Eagles, right?
Purple.
Yeah,
they were.
I mean, you're talking the package deal when it comes to my road roomies. So,
It was awesome. Heather Anke, who played at UNH, was there. Fun fact, like Fred Quisgard used to work my dad's hockey camps. So that's how I knew him and went there. But like Margot, like working with Heather had so much experience and was such a good coach. And then, to work for Margot Page, who is a Canadian legend, played on national teams, even when she I think when she was still coaching at one point, she was maybe still playing, maybe like her first year. But was on Mel Davidson's staff for the Canadian Olympic team as well, as an assistant coach. So got some awesome experience, with Margot, and she was so detailed. And it's funny, like I kind of like all the hockey X's and O's, and I didn't get to change the lines or run the bench until Margot was like, okay, you're ready now. It was very much, we change this, this change happens here, this change happens here. These don't fit. Like, it just learned a lot from her. And then, being out after that in Ohio with Jackie Bardo, I really felt like I couldn't have had two better mentors back to back in learning everything about the hockey piece of it. I'd already learned a lot from Jackie Hockey playing for her, but the way she recruited and how diligent she was in the recruiting process. And, Catherine Hansen was a great recruiter, just from a standpoint of like her personality and how she was with the recruits and the families. And so I got really, 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 really lucky, like being able to work for those two women. And then bang, Brian DeRocher, like it doesn't get any better than that. And so I just feel like I've been so lucky in my coaching career. The people that the other assistants that I was working with were rock stars, and the people I got to learn under as the head coaches. Brian, you can you go from Margot learning about so many things about hockey that I maybe didn't think of, to Jackie in the hockey part, but how diligent she was in the recruiting process. To Brian, it's like all about people. He called me a couple weeks ago. He was just, as he always does. And he was just asking about my parents. And he goes, send me your mom's number. And my mom texted me 2 days later. He's like, oh, Brian just called. Like, oh yeah. But he's doing that with hundreds.
He should be Brian DeRocher network marketing. Like something like if he needed to start his own business, which he doesn't. His business is hockey, right?
Yeah. He doesn't even need people.
It's
just him. It's just him. Like,
it's great.
So for me, I just have felt so incredibly lucky in the path that I've had to get here. It's just been when I look back, it's pretty remarkable path of the people that I got to learn from.
It's funny because I was going to ask you about early mentors, but it was like such a given as you were talking about it. And I know those people, and they really carried the sport on their back when it came to it being women's hockey and where we were at that time, just in regard to advancing it and everything. So it's so great to hear.
Did you know you wanted to coach when you were playing? I know you said your parents were educators and they were coaches. So was that the path you were on, or was at some point like junior year you were like, wait a minute, how'd that come to be?
Yeah, I think honestly, like in high school, I was like, I think I want to be a lawyer. Like
Huh.
I don't know, like that. And then I was like, okay, no, maybe I want to be a teacher or a social worker or school counselor, something along those lines.
You're giving back in all those roles in some
Yeah,
way. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that was what I thought. But then when I went to college, and I was like, oh, I can have an actual, like, this could be my career. Like, I don't have to be a teacher like my mom and dad were, or work in administration and be a coach. I can literally just be a coach. Albeit back then it wasn't for a lot of money. And you had to have 5 roommates and all those things. But I think in college is when I realized, and actually Jackie, she had field hockey camps in the summer, and like basically was like, hey, I'm running a hockey camp in Wisconsin. Why don't you come out? Like basically, I think was like, I think you should coach. I remember having a conversation with her about like coaching and if I wanted to get into it. And so really like I yes, it was in my family, but realizing the college part of it, really, I would have to say was Jackie. And then I watched, Jackie, I watched Heather Lindstad, like Karen Kay, like these were all the people that we were, I know Lisa Brown Miller, like I know I'm missing more women that were coaching that I was playing against. But there were a lot of them. And I think that just made me realize, okay, this is probably a pretty cool job.
Yeah, there were a lot of them. And I want to give some like kudos to our time coaching together during that era of how much we supported and mentored each other, right? Like supported, mentored, like sounding board. I can't tell you the amount of times that Lash and I were sharing a hotel room, and first and foremost, like, oh, you have to call a recruit? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll go to the gym or go get a coffee or go get a beer.
Yeah.
And wait for you to be done with your calls, or I need to do my calls. I'm going to go, shuffling that around because you needed a roommate because of the budgets too.
Yep.
And
Right.
but I hope that teams still do that and that coaches still do that on any level, assistant coaches, whatever, whoever's the road warrior on your staff, if you have more than one, because I think that there is a time still, and there was a time then, while we had all those people, the evolution of the sport, it was growing fast. If we go forward to BU and how fast you guys moved along as a program,
Yeah.
which is, I think there's a lot of credit to be given to the camaraderie in women's hockey and sort of women lifting up women when they're on the road.
Absolutely. And I know, like, even till this day, like if I want to talk about something, even if it's one of our players, like Kumi is my first phone call. Hillary Witt is always either a 1 or a 2. I've called Kinger about things. Like, I just think Erin Hamlin, like, I just think even still for me to this day, even if someone's in our league, I have no problem calling them to talk about something going on our team, because I know that they're not going to go and be like, oh, here we go. They're like, they're people are there to help. And Jim Plumer, like, I feel like I've had a lot of good sounding boards, and I hope other women do too. Like, really anybody who's coaching, realizing that they, I know, Christina and Janine, they've got their coaching buddies that they connect with and talk to, or, okay, what's going on here? What are you guys doing? It might be different problems, right? It might be like, hey, I can't get the kid to understand this skill. How are you teaching it? And so I think it's still going on. But I think that was some of the best parts of it. And and Lynn, you can, I'm sure, agree with me. You have friends that are all over the country that you consider your close friends, and you see them 4 times a year recruiting, or because they live in Minnesota, or they live like I love Jess Scott. I never get to see her, but we'll still call each other to chat about things. And when you I'll see you down in Florida, like you're like, it's like you didn't miss a beat, and I think that is a kind of a unique part of it. Although I'm trying to get out to see Jess this spring so I can watch some of her kids jack baseball games.
Big baseball player, right?
Oh yeah.
We had Jess on earlier.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. She's the best.
Yeah.
But to have that, like, where you like, Bethany Browson, like you see people, but then when you see, like, we'll see each other in Florida and there aren't enough hours in the day because you want to stay up all night. And you're like, well, now it's 3:00 and I got meetings at 7. So I got to
get ready because I'm going to be in Florida this year.
Oh, perfect.
But my kids are coming. they can have tablets at the bar. It's fine.
There we go.
It's Florida, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's huge. It's definitely huge. Brownie, did you have a question?
No, you got me with that, with the tablets in Florida. That one got me. That was good.
Yeah.
Your kids in the bar. Yeah.
I'll take pictures and we'll post it after Florida on our.
There we go.
Next one. I would say I can't agree with you enough. And when I left coaching, that was probably one of my biggest, like, oh, I'm going to miss this. I'm going to lose this. This is one of the things I'm going to lose. There are many things that I didn't miss and don't miss. And that's not one of them. That was probably the camaraderie, the friendships. That was the biggest ones, but we have our friendships still. Like, I reach out to you. I'm coming in Boston. I've reached out to her last week and give her like 12 hours notice. I was like, I'm going to be in Treehouse in Charlton. And she was like, when is this, today? And I was like, oh, I'm already back in New York.
It was yesterday.
Hurricane Linda has landed.
Yeah, weddings. Hopefully, unfortunately, hopefully not too many funerals, but we are getting to that place in our life. And I couldn't agree with you more, though. Let's move into BU and just kind of, I want to give enough time for, the real sort of the gold of the year in your season with Holy Cross. So just talk a little bit about, for me, what I remember about BU and just how fast you guys ascended, how quickly. Obviously, Brian was, on the road doing his Brian DeRocher thing, kissing babies, shaking hands, all those things. And, but in the most genuine ways, obviously we love him. But, you guys got Poulin, we got Coyne, things started to ratchet up, but you had so many good players at BU. And I remember just talking to you guys being like, how did you get them?
Well, it was funny. Like I wouldn't say funny, but, Erica Silva and Kirsten Matthews did a great job of the first 3 years of starting, with Brian, obviously, like getting that program going. And, that the fourth year of the program was my first year. And you had I think it was like 10 seniors. So like they're leading, they're doing a good job in that regard and figuring that out. And then, just when actually Tara was there, she scored the game-winning goal for the first ever championship. We were at Providence, but we were playing UConn, and I remember it to this, to this day. Like it just kind of had eyes, and it maybe nicked the UConn kid, but I think it was still going in either way. And that just kind of started it. And from there, Poulin comes, Catherine Ward comes that same year for that 1 year for grad school. Like, she's the most underrated player I've ever met in my life. So unassuming, but so.
You got Wakefield coming in from UNH.
Came over, transferred in, and Alexis Crossley at one point, Janelle Kohanchuk. There's too many to name, to name. Kayla Tantino, Sarah Lafort, like the list is pretty extensive, but they had fantastic goaltending in Elise Wilcox that first 4 years, like lights out, and then Karen Sperry. So I think that's a huge piece of it is, maybe even for us a little bit over the last couple of years, when you're getting unbelievable goaltending, you can maybe win some games that you don't think, that maybe you aren't better than the other team yet, but you can pull some of those off.
Sure.
And I think we just had great goaltending, but I mean, that was a lot of, I think those kids, like, especially Poulin, like those kids, like, they love to have fun. They work so hard. They love the sport. They love everything to do. But when you get somebody like that, everybody else around is like, oh, why is she running? Like, why is she on a treadmill before practice? Why is she doing? And then they're like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
If she's if she can do that, I'm going to do that. And then maybe I'll do it as her. But just playing with those kids every day, the level like immediately went up. She's a winner. You know, she's a winner. And
that hasn't changed either.
No. And it just made everybody else winners. You know, even for us as coaches, like I'm watching stuff she does and learning from her, like as a coach, some of the things that she was doing on the ice. So I think when you're and I do think like the camaraderie in our staff, like love Kumi, she's a sister to me, and Brian's like the best human being ever. And so when you get to be around that, you know, that group, and it's easy when you like, it's not when you have recruits on campus, like they can tell it's real. Like they can tell that we actually do get along and love being around each other, and have fun, and we're genuine. And I think that went a long way when people could also see that part of it is like, these are pretty good human beings and they seem to care about the team tremendously and each other. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like it's a pretty good, you know, recipe for success. Obviously, like depending on where you coach, you have to recruit the kind of kid. Like if you're in the middle of Boston, you got to recruit a kid that they want a small school. They're not coming there.
Right.
You got to figure that part out. But certainly we found our way to make that thing roll for a good handful of years.
Yeah. It set the foundation for what they have going now.
Yeah, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And like I said, like Erica Silva and Kirsten Matthews, like the way they got that going with Brian those first couple years, with some of those kids that they had, you know, recruiter found, you know, they were out recruiting everywhere and did a fantastic job.
Yeah, and to give some context on them for our listeners, Erica's a Northeastern grad, goaltender. Did a little stint in college with coaching, but is now up at the Tilton School as a coach, still in coaching. Kirsten has been around, a longtime coach at St. A's, now back in prep school at St. Mark's, so still giving back to the game. And they go all the way back to there. So yeah, they deserve a lot of credit for sure. Yeah,
absolutely.
St. Mark's has the best ice I've ever played on.
I don't know if I've ever played on that ice.
Yeah. It's the, I mean, I'm a beer league guy, but that place is unbelievable, the ice there. Hey, shout out to the ice crew there.
Fun facts from Brownie.
Yeah.
So let me ask, so let's move on to Holy Cross, because we've got a lot to talk about. We want to, you know, touch on all the things. But you're at BU. I know how it feels when you're just getting there, right? Like even Poulin never won a Beanpot, for instance.
Right.
As great as she was and as great as all those players was, there was like a little bit of a Beanpot curse, but you guys were, you know, didn't have enough pockets to hold your Hockey East titles.
Right.
And so, you know, but it gets addicting, right? Like, oh, but we're going to go somewhere. We've made 2 NCAAs, and the NCAAs, I think when you make NCAAs the first time, at least you're like, oh, okay.
Well, and right to the championship game.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah. And that's similar to what Northeastern did against Duluth the first year they went. Like, it was like, is this really happening? But it's also like you're riding on that, like almost what you don't know, right? We just know us, right? Like, so it can work for you in that special way. But I just want to like ask you or hear a little bit about like the transition, like to Holy Cross and the decision or the consideration for, okay, so Holy Cross is going to do this. They're going to eventually move into Hockey East. It's been approved. Like, is this the next step for me? How did you come to that decision? Because I mean, you're in a good situation at BU, right?
Yeah.
So
can I tag on to that too before you answer? Also, because I was not aware of this until I researched it. Was that common knowledge that the move from Nuha to Hockey East was coming? Like how much of a runway was given on that or notice wise?
Yeah, it got, I don't know exactly when it got approved, but I think it got approved I came in here, I think it was in maybe early August for the interview, but it had just gotten approved. It was probably at the April maybe meetings in Florida is my guess, or maybe at some point that summer. But it was definitely known that they were joining the league. That following year. I felt like maybe I had done some, a couple head coach interviews and just kind of felt like, hey, you know what? I think maybe I can bet on myself a little bit here, but I loved BU. Like I loved it there, like I didn't need to leave. I didn't, necessarily want to leave, but I'm like, I'm going to bet on myself and, see if I can get something going. And I loved that they were going to be in Hockey East. I had already done everything away. I moved to New York. I moved to Ohio. Got back to New England. I don't know if Lewiston Mainers, I think, are like kind of homebodies a little bit. Even though I'm a couple hours away, I still feel great in New England. I knew I wanted to stay in this area, and it was a great opportunity of a job that came up. I have 3 nephews, my sister, my brother, they all live in Beverly. I love seeing them. So like it was an opportunity to also not go too far where I could still see them grow up all the time. And, so I think that had huge appeals to it as well. I think sometimes, in coaching, you can want to always look for the next best thing. But sometimes you have a pretty good situation right in front of you. And so, but I love really there's only a few people up in administration that are still here from when I started. But the evolution of the people that have come through, like this is just a great place to work. Small school. Providence was a small school. I feel more comfortable working where you feel like you know people. And so for me, it was just a really, really good fit. I remember playing when I was in college, we came here and played field hockey against them. So I kind of was familiar with the campus. I didn't remember the big hill. But I was
going to say it's windy there, right? On their field hockey field.
But I think the big hill makes us better hockey players, or more steps for the student athletes every day. But it just was just a really neat transition here. And I didn't know Peter Van Buskirk beyond seeing him out recruiting and saying hello. So to have him here for those first 2 years during the transition to really teach me everything about Holy Cross was awesome. And really that first year, like I just went out recruiting a lot. Because I knew, we had to change maybe slightly, or I had, good connections in certain areas that I thought kids would take a chance on us. And, so that was, it was nice to have him here. And, it was great in that year too, when we were in Hockey East, he was very gracious in really allowing me to do a lot, knowing that we've got to kind of start building in what my philosophy was going to be and how we wanted to play. And really like from the start, like we want, like we could have maybe sat back and trapped more and had done all those things to maybe try to squeeze out another game or two or keep the scores lower or whatever it may be. But I was like, this is how I want to play. This is how I like to play hockey. Like, so let's just do this. And then now it's recruiting. Like it's recruiting. Like you just need to figure out the kids. And that doesn't mean you're getting the number 1 through 10 kids in the country. It means that you're figuring out who's going to be able to play with how you want to play, who works hard, who are underdogs. Cause we know we're always going to be an underdog, like in Hockey East, like, we're going to be an underdog. We like it. We like being that underdog. And so who kind of has that mentality and who's really hungry. And that's just kind of what we've been finding in like development, like development. It's like the name of the game for us, having those kids come here that you can see something in them and then how do you get it out of them? And I'm really proud of every person that's ever been on staff here, of how well we've been able to develop players. You know, we have kids on our team that weren't playing at other schools and are playing all the time now and doing really well. And so I think those kids are hungry. And I'm like so thankful, you know, with Janine and Christina here, the level that they can coach these kids at. And I think that's a huge part of it. Like as assistant coaches, like you've always got to stay up on how the game is played, because you need to keep being able to coach the kids on your team, hoping that you're going to get Olympians or national team players or whatever it may be. So you need to make sure that you're always ready to challenge those kids. But my staff, it's the hockey part, but it's all encompassing. They played at a ridiculously high level, both of them. And so they understand what they're going through. They can talk to them about that. Believe it or not, I played hockey too, although the kids don't probably think it anymore because I'm old. But I just think when you can surround yourself with the people that can really motivate and teach the development part of it. But that's what we talk about. Like I'm not spilling, you know, whatever. I'll give all our secrets away in recruiting. But that's all we talk about is like, we want to develop. We're going to develop. You're really good. So even if you're here, we're going to get you here. If you're already here, we're going to get you here. And that's something that we feel a lot of pride in, that we've been able to do.
Yeah. Well, and
it works hard too.
I'm going to throw my basketball reference in here, because I always throw my I don't know if you watched the women's championship in UCLA, and it's like what Corey Close says, right? Like I've become obsessed. Like I listen to every sound clip and every podcast out there. And, you know, like just finding the players that will buy in. Sorry, something's ringing over here.
No, you're good.
I don't even know how to get that to stop, guys. Sorry. I don't even know how to get it to stop. It's on my other computer. So
you can't really hear it, so that's all right.
Good, because it's ringing. So wouldn't be a podcast without some kind of technical difficulty by me. But yeah, she talks about getting the buy-in, right? And getting the right kind of kids and getting them to sort of take a chance on something. But also like they fit your program just as much as you fit them as people, right? Like what are you going to make out of them as people? Like it was a master class in like getting people to manifest what they want.
Yep.
Right. So, and that team did that as individuals. They talked about it. They talked about what the coach taught them about it and all their staff. Right. She just gets the spotlight for it. But, and then they manifested a national championship out of it. And again, just incredible. Like everything, as we were talking about that, I was thinking that same thing.
Oh yeah. Like I've done the same thing, like listening to all of her. I've been following her for a while on all the social media and so it was really cool to see how that happened. And like their kids didn't transfer, like they stayed, and then they added kids, but her best players, like I think they said their starting 5 are all graduating, which I'm sure will be tough for them, but like they had their starting 5 all be seniors and not and believe in it. And I don't know, like I believe, you know, if your kids are like super bought in, but they also have to care about each other. If they don't, you have no shot. Like you have no shot if they don't care about each other, unless you have 1 through 20 ranked recruits on your team, then you probably have a shot. but
you have a shot without genuine investment, right? Because you don't need it, because I mean you could fall apart, but there's a really good chance that talent will prevail, right? So you should be a co-host, because that was a great segue into my next topic, which is about the transfer portal.
Well, hold on before you get there, I want to ask, because I warned you ahead of time that I was going to glaze you, but you were talking, I wanted to expand upon this, because you were talking about the buy-in and the style of play and the way you like to play. And I will say that the way that your team has played over the years that I've watched, in Hockey East, when a team's getting blown out, there are a few teams, I won't name any names, but there are a few teams historically that start playing dirty and they start taking dumb penalties. And next thing you know, a 5-2 game turns into an 8-2 game.
Yeah.
And it's, they're playing shorthanded the whole rest of the game. And I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but I've seen your team lose games over the years without doing that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge mark to you and your staff and the type of players that you guys bring in. And we talked to Crovo about this, and I mentioned it to her. You guys can be losing, and your whole team is still, there's no bad body language. Everyone's still supporting and on the bench, high-fiving when they come after shifts. And there's no, you guys don't lose, you run out of time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And there's none of the cheap penalties. And I think that is something that is not highlighted as much as it should. And I think that's an important character trait that you guys embody as a program. And I just wanted to make sure we talked about it. That's all.
I appreciate that. And honestly, I could probably take that back to the kids that were here when I first got here. Yeah. There's I'll never forget this kid, Julie Matthias, Emily Listener, these kids that were on the team, they didn't quit. We couldn't get out of our zone.
Yeah.
And they were going, and I remember Julie had some things going on with her legs and had surgeries and all this. Basically, she couldn't be in her skates for more than a certain amount of time and in agonizing pain, but yet they're still going. So then the freshmen came in the next year and they're like, oh, this is what we do here. And then then those guys get it. And then, so yeah, there were times where we would have to reel people in a little bit, or I don't know why, but the kids like it when I yell at them. I hate yelling at them, but sometimes they like it and they feel like they want it. I'm like, all right, you don't need it. I think you just want me to yell now because I don't yell a lot. But having to when those times where we get down, challenging them, for the first however many years, I don't like it now, but we have 2 to 3 timeouts every period, for the ice maintenance.
Oh yeah.
We were hey, that was a mental time for us at the beginning, because it was hey, we're okay. Keep doing this, keep doing that. Keep staying positive, keep cheering each other on. Hey, they don't like it when we were never with the puck. So we constantly talked about how you always just have to be a pain in the butt to play against. And so I think it just kind of kept building and building. And our kids don't know any different. And if someone is not even in practice working like that, we don't have to say it anymore. It's completely player led. And that, I think, was a huge shift. I think a little bit last year, but even more so this year, that everybody was bought in. Everybody cared about each other. They didn't all have to be best friends, but I do think they all really like each other genuinely. But they figured out how to hold each other accountable, but also then go to lunch with each other. It's okay, and, but they just kept doing it. I mean, we didn't have anything else. I
want to give some teeth to that, the beginnings of your program before we actually go into my transfer portal question. The script on how do you keep that culture, right? But so I'll just read your wins, the number of wins you had, starting from 2019 to 2020 on a 34 game schedule.
Yeah.
So 5 wins, 4 wins, 3 wins, 7 wins, 8 wins. 2024, 25, 10 wins. And then this past year, 19, 3-3, most Hockey East victories in program history with 10, and most Hockey East points in program history with 37.
Yeah.
And we were counting your home win streak this year. Every time Linda and I recorded, we were like, they're still going.
They did it again.
We didn't want to talk about it too loud. I don't want to be the reason it jinxes it.
Yeah. And that first year, in which was the first year for us in Hockey East, when Peter last year, we had 1 win. It was against Northeastern, and they were number 5 in the country or something. It was crazy. No business winning, but yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I guess I don't sit and think about it too much, but when you hear it, it feels really good. And to see that growth, and and know that like our culture and our kids haven't changed. They like someone, when we were ranked for like the first or second week, someone said something to one of our kids in the hallway, like another coach. I mean, it was awesome. The coaches here, everybody here is so supportive. And so they're talking to our kids, and some said something about being ranked, and the kid was like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." And then they're like, where do you want to go to lunch? You know, or like to supper tonight? Like just kind of like, yeah, that's awesome. But like,
which is like the best response ever. That's what you want. Yeah.
They're just so, the kids here are so balanced in their social life, their academic life, their athletic life. Like they're just really, really balanced. And it's actually really neat to see.
Yeah, it's necessary for mental health too.
Yeah.
So it's a big piece, and it's nice to see that there's that whole package there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about the transfer portal.
Yeah.
You know, you were just talking about, you know, nobody leaving and sticking with the culture and being able to carry the culture on, and how sometimes you can have the best talent and not have good culture, and you'll get beat, right?
Yeah.
But what are you, you know, I guess I'm still trying to wrangle around, like, is it good? Is it bad? Is it somewhere in the middle? Like, what are your feelings on the transfer portal? Is it, I mean, I heard you say when we were talking before, it is what it is. It's here. It's happening. We all have to deal with it and live with it. Tell us kind of what your sort of philosophies and thoughts are on it.
Yeah, I think I've changed over time. We've been lucky. We've only had a couple kids transfer. We've had 2 kids in the last 7 years transfer that actually still had, that were underclassmen. We don't have grad school, so we've had a handful of kids that have graduated from here but still had a year of eligibility. So they went like all those COVID 5th years, like you know, so we were losing some of our kids. We had a kid go to Vermont, kid go to Providence, kid go to Syracuse. So like we haven't really dealt with it too much in a sense of, coach, I'm a sophomore, I'm not happy, I'm leaving. Or, you know, but I do think there are those ones that you're like, oh man, I wish, you know, and I'm just thinking how I would feel maybe depending on, okay, if this kid left or that kid left. Mm-hmm. Some that you're like, shoot, I wish that kid was stuck it out. Then there are also ones that you're like, I get it. The kid, you know, wants to maybe play more or be in a position where they have a different opportunity. And I guess, like, who am I to say that that's not the way they should be feeling, for lack of a better way to put it? Like, I get it. And I know there are people that say, well, you know, that's adversity. You need to stick it out. You need to do all those things. But if a kid really feels like they're in a situation, or even as a coaching staff, we try to be as honest as we can. And you never know, right? Like, things can change, but we also know who's coming in next year. We know who's coming in 2 years and where they're at. And so if it becomes evident that maybe this player's role is not probably going to change much, again, like, things can happen, right? Like like there could be tons of improvement here and there. And so I would never say never, but to be able to be honest with that player, and then they can make the decision that they need to make. And I do think coaches try to do their best at that. I don't think anybody wants someone to be unhappy. Some players are completely okay with the role they're in. And some have a really hard time with it. And I understand that. And so maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when they made a decision to come to a certain school, the team was in a different position, or maybe the player was in a different position, but now maybe they want different things in their life or in their playing experience or their major or any of those things. And so I guess I've just embraced it because it's here. Like we don't do a lot with the portal, you know, and we are very, and I know every coach is, I'll just speak for myself though. Like, we're very protective of like what our culture is, and very protective of our locker room, and would want to make sure no matter what, if we were bringing somebody in, we know that it would be a good Holy Cross hockey kid. And so I guess my stance on it is, I don't know what's good for people. And I do hope people try to fight through adversity and try to work through things. But if someone's doing everything they can every day, and maybe it's just not a situation where they are going to earn more ice time and that's important to them, then that's okay. Maybe a kid thinks that they want a bigger challenge and play for a program that is always competing for championships. That's their prerogative to think that. I guess if it was happening to us a lot, I think I would just try not to get stuck in that moment and say, okay, well, it's out of my control. All right, now is there someone that we can, kind of find a replace, or, okay, well, now this is our team and this is our new team. And, but I mean, we all have egos, so you just got to kind of swallow it and just think, okay, all right, I have to worry about 25 other players. And so that has to be my main priority. And that's what I need to protect. And if the 26th one doesn't want to be someplace anymore, I think most coaches kind of evolved and just like, okay, like, this is your choice, what you're doing. But I think I have to assume that everybody's having really good conversations. I feel like we do have a pretty good relationship with our kids. Like for us, we made sure before the portal opened that we had our year-end meetings. So that way, if kids wanted to ask us questions or if they wanted to talk more openly about it, we'll be very honest. And it's, I don't want to say it's kind of like because you care about these kids, right? Like it's like family, but also like you're just having a really honest conversation. And you have to try to keep the emotions out of it a little bit. I think on both sides, the student athlete side and the coach's side, and just like, let's get to the bottom of it. What's best for you? Okay. Then you now have to go make that decision. This is where we see you. I don't know. My thoughts on it could change next year. I don't know, but I just feel like you have to, at this point, embrace it because it's happening. And like, we're not dealing with, at least right now, kids getting paid someplace millions of dollars or thousands of dollars to go someplace else. Like that hasn't hit us yet. I am sure it's hit other schools, but, or it has, and our kids are like, no, I'm good. Like, I don't know. I just don't know. But
I think chasing the NIL probably is not a New England thing at all.
But it's coming. I think it's coming.
I mean, chasing leaving those schools to go west and go into Big Ten schools. Yeah, definitely. With
our kids, we're just like, hey, like we just try to mind our business as a team, our kids, everybody's friends, and they all talk, and this person's experience at this school and this person's experience at that school. And so I think we just try to make sure we have really good communication with our kids. We're really open with them. We love to have fun. I think any single kid on this team knows that they could come in this door at any moment and talk about anything. And luckily, like I do think we have a really good academic environment that kids want to be a part of. And so I don't know, we'll just keep minding our business over here and keep
flying under the radar with that a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully just keep trying to shock people.
It's after my time, and I always wondered and haven't had too many conversations with the coaches about like transfer portal opens. Do you and your coaches like open it up every day and take a look? Are you thinking about it? Are you checking it out? What's the process? I mean, you guys said you don't, who's coming in, sometimes you could have any blue chip in that portal, but if you don't have a scholarship for them, it doesn't matter. And more than likely, most of your scholarships are accounted for.
And if you don't have kids leaving,
Right.
that doesn't, I think probably every coach probably does it a little differently. I don't know how this is going to work. Like we're not like opting in. So like we can't get more scholarships, but there are other teams in our league and obviously everywhere that are going to get more scholarships. So we've already been talking, like, what does that mean for us if 3 teams in our league get 2 more scholarships? How's that going to affect us? So like, we're trying to get ahead of it, but we seriously like are just like, well, we love what we have. We think we have a really good thing going. And so someone's going to want to be a part of it or not, but we're going to keep being ourselves and doing the way things the way we think we need to. And yeah, like, I guess again, minding our own business and seeing, but yeah, like on the first day of the portal, like you'll open it and look, because there could be someone that could be a great addition, to Skylar Sharpman, fantastic, like example, like, loved her play in high school, ended up at a different school, and it just didn't work out. And sometimes it just doesn't work out. But as soon as I saw her name, I was like, I text her within 5 minutes, because she's our kind of kid, works her butt off, super physical. From what I've heard, like just a great human being. And so I think that's part of it too, but making sure you're doing your research on why people want to leave. And it's basically like it's like recruiting. It's another round of recruiting, except they're now 18 to 22 and they're not 15 to 18.
Just the next level of recruiting.
Yeah.
The grad school thing's interesting. I had never even entered my thought process till we were talking before we recorded. So, I mean, how do you fault a kid at that point if there's no 5th year available? So, of course, that makes perfect sense. And I understand that.
I help.
Yeah, right. For sure.
I've helped those kids,
You should, as a coach.
You can't stay here. Like, yeah, I'd love for you not to be in our league, but I'm never going to give you advice not to. But like, I don't know. I think that's part of our, I don't see job, but like sort of like I mean, hey, I've cared about you for 4 years. You've played here for 4 years. You're going to get a Holy Cross degree, but now I don't care about you for your next step. Is just not how we roll. So,
well, I think the big message there is, and we talked about this again before we started recording, about the transfer portal, and just like, it's not linear. Like everybody's situation is not the same. But it gets kind of a bad rap. I mean, if a kid's transferring 3 times, I mean, you definitely have kids that are going to jump schools and look for the next best thing. And maybe that's, a character flaw or something that they're just someone's not being honest with them, really, probably.
True,
but also there's just different circumstances for different players and different families. And maybe they do have to transfer the 3rd time because they need to get closer to home for whatever. So,
until coaches stop jumping, you can't ask the kids not to jump.
Yeah. I mean,
you know what I mean? That's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? That's the whole thing.
I think was a huge piece of it from like, when you look back at the basketball, when it started blowing up in basketball, and I feel like I've heard some student athletes getting interviewed and saying, well, my coach will leave tomorrow if the right opportunity comes up. So
why wouldn't I?
Right.
Yeah. And so and again, like NIL, it's here. Money's not a part of it. There are things that can change families, like futures and lives,
generational
as well. And I understand that. And I'm not going to pretend to know kids' situations, but that is a reality. And maybe not as much in our sport yet. That there are big dollars, but there are dollars. It's probably not the basketball money and the football money, but and I think some of that too. Like, why not? Like, why not have kids? A lot of these things, the kid has to somehow be involved, but like, it's also stuff they could put on their resume. Like, I had to make a marketing plan. I had to do that. Like, there's some pretty cool things that I do think people who are, hiring to a certain extent student athletes, there's a piece to it that they're trying to educate or trying to help these student athletes learn business, learn marketing, learn those things. So I've honestly, if you had asked me this 2 years ago, I would have been like, this, I'm quitting. It's ruining sports. But like now I'm like, okay, how can every little thing that's changing in NCAA, how can we look at it as a positive, and how can that help a student athlete? And okay, great. Like my job has, I was talking about it with Janine and T, like my job has, I feel like, drastically changed over even just the last like 7 years with fundraising and collective, trying to, all of those things, like, and it's the same way for definitely every head coach, that now you're like, you wish you had somebody on your staff that just did try to do that. And I'm sure there are some places, and we're, 2,800 students or whatever. Like, I'm sure there are some places, or even maybe with our basketball staffs here, I don't know, I should ask them, but that's like part of it is like, how are we helping these kids? And that's why people are having GMs now,
Right.
like that's going to be a thing. And I get it, I get it. But it's definitely interesting. I didn't embrace the collective part that much, and our person who like runs our collective, I'm like, okay, I need to embrace this, because can we figure out a way that even if it's giving a kid books that maybe isn't on a full scholarship, like little things like that. Now I'm putting our secrets out there again, but like, can we find little ways to show our kids that we appreciate them, even if we don't have a full scholarship, or even if that, and again, I don't know at Holy Cross that we're going to ever have enough money to pay, but like, could we ever get to the point where, some travel money, some things like that we just don't have. Other schools might have it, and it's just, we don't have it, but we are who we are, and we're fine with that. We embrace it, and we'll do our thing, and hope we can have another year like this, and hope kids notice and want to come play for us and play for the school and play for the kids that are in that locker room.
Oh, in talking with Crovo, she's got plans for next year already. So I think this is now the baseline for you guys.
She's the best. She's the best ever. Did she tell you guys some jokes? Because usually she's got some jokes going.
So she was, we got info from Constantinople, who they went to high school together, that Crovo was a big dad joke person.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so, we were putting her on the spot for that. No, of course, no warning or anything.
She behaved a little bit, maybe, though.
Yeah, no, she was good. She was real good. She was real good. That's great.
All right. Well, this has been great, Lash. I really appreciate it. So good to see your face.
You too. You too.
I always like to finish up with one question.
I have two quick ones before you do that.
You're doing lightning round?
No, I'm not going to do the lightning round, because I knew you're going to give me shit if I did. Linda always yells at me for the lightning round. She's like, "Oh, it's a generational thing," and she makes me old. I wanted to know, have you? Because we asked Crovo both these. Have you been to Coney Island?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll be glad to know Crovo has not. And
baloney. I'm going to ask her that. I'm going to ask her. I'm going to ask her tomorrow.
And have you met Bob Cousy?
I have not met Bob Cousy.
Okay.
I've been like around him when he's been here, but never had the honor of meeting him, unfortunately.
I will say too, when I was at, I don't know what game I was at of yours, but when you in between periods, you kind of walk through the people.
Yep.
And I was like watching, and I'm like, there people just stop, like, "Hey, coach, how you? Good period so far." And I was like, "What are you doing? Let her go to the locker room." And that's what you talk about, the smaller school and the family. And it stood out to me because then once I saw it happen once, I'm like, every time she walks by, there's like 7 to 10 people like, "Hey, good game." And you're like, "Well, we got 40 minutes left." It was just, it stood out to me. It was great though. You took it like a champ. Yeah.
Well, sometimes like somebody I haven't seen came, and I'm like hugging them as I'm like walking to like get on the kids about something, but that's all changing. We're getting a renovation.
Oh, okay.
So we'll eventually be on that underneath.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that'll be
Northeastern used to be underneath. We used to be able to go from the locker room to the straight to the bench until they built the weight room under there.
oh, that's right.
So you'd have to cut through like the weight room, the athletic training room. You could do it, but if the athletes are in there, you'd actually have to cut through the locker room. So
Oh,
it would be a
But
pain
even
in
at
the neck.
Northeastern, they're down by the glass.
Right.
Coach is like walking like you're
No,
like
I
through the
did.
concourse.
I'm in the concourse. I'm
Yeah.
right in there. And I think Janine and T usually walk across the ice. Not this season, last season at UNH, I fell.
Oh.
And like I thought I tore my hamstring. The doctor came. I mean, it was I didn't, but that was the first time in 25 years times however many games a year that I had fallen walking across the ice.
Oh
And
my
so
God.
now even at home, like the rest of that year, and even now I'm kind of like, I'll walk around. I'm okay.
There was the game I was at, you were walking back and I happened to be coming back and I was like 5 feet behind you and I'm like, do I just introduce myself? Because everybody's talking to her. And then I'm like, no, I'll say
I had
it for another time.
after the UNH game, this was like the cutest thing in the world, but after the UNH the semifinal game that we got to host, and Abby Hornung's, I came up the stairs from behind and Abby Hornung's grandmother grabs my face and she's like, I think she said she's from New York, hadn't seen Abby play live in person, like maybe in college yet. And she's just going like this. And then she just puts her forehead on my forehead. And I'd never met her. And Abby's mom is like horrified. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. But like I have so many stories of having to walk. I'm probably gonna miss it, to be honest. I'll probably
Yeah.
It's
Well,
it's a nice little cool thing, you know.
Yeah.
In a what is it? What was it? In a successful season, that's great. But when you don't know what you're going to get on the other end, and I don't know if you're aggravated about something, maybe something like that shakes you out of it before you get to the locker room.
Like my composure like has to be so good, and my staff's like when we walk through, because like if you're heated and someone is walking slow because they don't see you behind and you're in a rut, like you have to be like, just breathe. Just breathe.
Yeah. And you guys sell beers too. So there's always that element. Who knows? Yeah.
I would not be good in that situation. I've got a little bit of RBF going on. So okay, last question. Breaking the Glass Hockey Podcast. Give us 2 to 3 people that you recommend that we bring on Breaking the Glass Hockey Podcast. Yes.
Okay. Have you had Courtney on yet?
Not yet.
Well,
you got to get her. You got to get her to text you back.
All right. The new Merrimack head coach needs to get on here. I'll shoot her.
Thanks. Yep. We'll tag her in it. We'll do everything. I've already texted her. Courtney, text me back, please. Yep. We know how that works with her.
Putting it out there that Merrimack is the easiest game for me to go to from where I live in hockey.
There we go.
You get a lot of coverage there, Coach, if you come on.
Yep, exactly. And have you talked to Molly yet up at Maine? Yep. I think Kirsty would be great. I think Kirsty's been in this game a long time and I think she's got some really great perspective. So I think she'd be a great one. Her and Molly would be awesome.
Great. Awesome.
Perfect. Can ask her why they make everybody walk down the stairs, right?
That's done. Their new facility, not to plug Maine, but that was my team growing up, right? Like
right. Yeah, of course.
John Walsh, 42-1-2, 1995. I was glued to the TV. I remember exactly where I was when the men's program went, but their facility is awesome.
So wait, if you and I don't want to go too far down this. 2 things that Mitch triggered. First off, the Lewiston Hall of Fame, they need to get a website because, good Lord, I couldn't find anything. So just someone please donate web design to that. Let's get some shine there. And if you were a big Maine fan back in the Sean Walsh days, do you remember a guy named Brian Belfay?
Yes.
So yes. Brian's a year older than me. We grew up together.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, Framingham.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. No, like huge, like Eric White, like Gar Snow and
that team was great.
Oh yeah, they couple of them came and worked at my dad's hockey camp in the summer, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Just really, really like cool to like Kyle Ingraham, all the little the Korea, like it's just they had an amazing team.
We used to drive from UMass up to Orono to go catch some of their games when I was in college.
I bet. Yeah. And there's like a fun place to watch a hockey game.
For sure.
If Molly comes on, you could tell her I was giving Maine some love.
Yeah.
Definitely. We want them all. I mean, it's a whole long story. I was like, we're going to hold off on all our like cards that we know we have in our deck already, right? Like we're going to try to just branch out, do a little youth sports, like things like that. So
yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, thank you for coming on. Remember, she's a medium, I'm an XL. So whatever.
I will find something. I'm writing it down right now.
Thanks so much, Coach.
Perfect. Thank you.